Have you ever had something happen that caused you to freak out in a major way? Hey, freakouts and numbouts happen to all of us. So if you can relate to this, you're not alone. Hello, gentle travelers. Have you ever had something happen that caused you to freak out in a major way? Maybe your car or your rig wouldn't start, your plane got delayed, or someone just made you plane hopping mad. On the other hand, maybe there was a time in your life, it could even be right now, where things are not going that great. This can get you down and downright depressed and wanting to just numb out to it all. Hey, freakouts and numbouts happen to all of us. So if you can relate to this, you're not alone. Then again, have you ever noticed that when you feel happy, satisfied, peaceful, and secure in your life, your body tends to feel, well, pretty darn good as well? A lot of us just don't know that there really is a direct and scientifically confirmed connection between our emotions and our physical health. What's more, that connection is physical, biochemical, and cellular, as well as energetic and spiritual. Why is knowing all of this so important? Because knowing is the first step towards getting off that hamster wheel of depression, anxiety, chaos, and numbing out onto the glory train of peace, calm, joy, and deep satisfaction in your life. Our first stop is with an oncologist by the name of Dr. O. Carl Simonton. The late Dr. Simonton was an amazing pioneer in the field of, wait for it, psychoneuroimmunology. Whew! He literally worked with thousands of cancer patients during the 70s and 80s. And along the way, he noticed that all had some pretty specific things in common. He noticed that they all suffered from some kind of loss, such as the death of a loved one, a divorce, or being laid off from work, 6 to 18 months prior to getting a cancer diagnosis. They all had difficulty developing truly loving relationships, and they all tended to hold on to anger, especially, and they all had a hard time just letting go of difficult things that had happened to them in the past. Dr. Simonton went on to publish his findings in a book called Getting Well Again. He also later went on to found the Simonton Cancer Center in Malibu, California, as well as the Simonton Method, which continues to help individuals heal the emotional side of cancer today. Our next study stop is called the A.C.E. study, and this one deals with all the emotions that we tend to carry because of not so pleasant things that may have happened in our childhood. Listen, us humans are amazing creations designed by God, and we were designed to be incredibly resilient, even when terrible things happen to us. Whether that thing is a bully who harassed you in first grade, or an overall abusive situation in your household throughout your childhood, when something traumatic happens, our brain and our body will do what they need to do in order for us to continue to function. Often, this involves encapsulating those scary events into little closed-off compartments inside our mind, so that those scary things won't take over, and we can go on living our lives. The problem is that those traumatic events that may have happened so long ago carry with them emotions. Emotions can be looked at in this way: emotions. And that emotions are energy in motion. All emotions have to move. And the emotions that were created around traumatic events that may have happened last year or 50 years ago need to move as well. This means that they can still affect us physically, even if the details of the traumatic events have long been forgotten by our conscious memory. The A.C.E study, which stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences, was a totally groundbreaking investigation. Based on thousands of surveys at the time, they concluded that approximately 70% of all adults in the United States have suffered some kind of childhood trauma. They also found that about 20% of these individuals showed signs of PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder. A few of the signs of PTSD are avoidance behaviors, abrupt changes in cognition and mood, thinking very negatively about oneself, being easily startled, difficulty concentrating, experiencing irritability or anger, or angry outbursts, anxiety and panic attacks, and depression. The statistics they discovered were pretty incredible, but what was even more amazing was how these corresponded with specific physical disease conditions. A.C.E researchers found, without a shadow of a doubt, a correlation between unhealed childhood trauma and a higher risk of all three of the major lifestyle-related diseases, including heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. A quick note here, if you want to know more about childhood trauma and if it may still be affecting you, you can actually take a quiz put out by the A.C.E researchers. Check the description below to get the link. And if you would like to know more about how you can heal trauma in a faith-based environment, be sure to check out the link for an amazing organization called Transformations Community. This mostly online healing ministry is doing amazing work to help those who are on the Christian healing journey with trauma and complex trauma. So we just went through a couple of really heavy examples of how unresolved negative emotions like anger, fear, and sadness can really affect your physical health. Now here's one where researchers discovered some good news. In the 1960s, an Oklahoma doc by the name of Dr. Stewart Wolfe was taking a road trip across country when he came upon the little town of Roseto, Pennsylvania. He stopped in for a cup of coffee at the cafe and wound up talking to the locals. What he discovered intrigued him. It seemed that none of the Italian immigrant residents of Roseto were being affected by any of the common health conditions at the time. Take into account that this was the 1960s. Even though a lot of the conditions that are pretty common today, like autoimmune conditions and diabetes, were unheard of back then, what was on the rise in a big way was heart disease. And while nearby hamlets filled with Italian immigrants from the exact same region as those in Roseto were succumbing to heart disease on par with the rest of the nation, most of the older folks in Roseto appeared to be living well into their 90s, and when they did pass was from simple old age. What's more, most of these residents lived on a diet of pasta and red wine, and a lot of them smoked. Most of the men also worked in the local rock quarry as well, where they may have been exposed to dust and chemicals, as well as they did really hard physical labor. Dr. Wolfe, who was also head of the University of Oklahoma School of Medicine at the time, decided to investigate. What followed was a decade-long study where Wolfe and his colleagues left no stone unturned. They tried every logical angle to find out what stood out at Roseto that would make everybody so darn healthy. They checked vitals, they did DNA samples, and surveyed every detail of residents' lifestyle and habits. The conclusion, after years of research and inquiry? According to Dr. Wolfe's report, first published in the 1960s, the main thing that was different about Roseto was its sense of community. No one locked their doors at night. No one owned a TV. Everybody, young and old, felt free to come and go from each other's houses whenever they wanted. And on most nights, everyone in the community ate large group meals together. According to Dr. Wolfe, it was the quote-unquote feeling of group coherence and social inclusion that led to such strong resistance to disease. Translation? Community, as expressed in Roseto, brought a sense of safety, acceptance, and belonging to each person. Problems were worked out because everyone had someone to turn to locally whom they could trust. In turn, stress and the bottled up emotions and biochemical responses that came along with it was not an issue, and therefore neither was disease. The whole experience and the surprising conclusions that Dr. Wolfe came to took the world by storm at the time and became the basis for what we now know as the Roseto Effect. Check the description below for the link. Wow, those were some incredible studies that can help us have just a little more insight into what could be going on inside with our physical health when we don't let those emotions out in a healthy way. And also what happens to us in a really good way when we get the love and support that we need from those around us whom we can trust. I hope all this was helpful for you, for your own life, and that it has convinced you that there really is a big time connection between emotional and physical health. Be sure to tune in for the next video when I will go through some strategies for healing emotions, for increasing joy, and for strengthening your emotional health muscle as well. This is NIKKI Lynn Pugh, aka the Gentle Healthy Traveler, saying many, many blessings, and I'll see you on the road.